Then,
Yes, please start.
good afternoon. I am the counsel for the petitioner representing 370 Suratha Sangathan. If the lordships are well versed with the facts of the case, the counsel would like to move forward with the arguments.
Please take us to the
Yes,
facts
please.
once again.
Apologies, I cannot hear you. Can you please repeat?
Can you please take us to the facts once more?
The Civil Secretariat, Home Department, Government of Beverly Hills on 10th April issued a security advisory which advised tourists in Beverly Hills to curtail their stay and return in the interest of security. Subsequently, education institutions and all the offices of the state were ordered to remain shut until further orders. On 12th April 2020, all the mobile phones, landline connectivity, internet services were completely suspended under Section 5 of Indian Telegraph Act 1885 and temporary suspension of telecom services, public emergency and public safety rule 2017, and an unannounced curfew was imposed, apprehending law and order situation. On 13th April 2020, the President of Republic of Avocado issued a constitutional order which modified Article 367 in its application to the state of Beverly Hills and applied the provision of Constitution of Republic of Avocado to the state, and Article 370 was abrogated. In the light of the same, the district magistrate exercised his own powers under Section 144 of Criminal Code of ROA 1973 and imposed blanket restrictions on movement of public vehicles, including journalists, apprehending breach of peace and tranquility. Owing to these restrictions, local, along with the journalists, had to endure a lot of problems. The Beverly Hills Times newspaper could not be distributed, and its publications were hampered. Along with that, the general public, the students could not go to school, the general public could not carry on their trades, and people were forced to stay in their homes, and there was a restriction on movement. Can I proceed with the arguments now? Much obliged. I would be putting forward the arguments for the first issue, that is whether the freedom of speech and expression and freedom over internet is a part of fundamental rights. It is most humbly submitted that freedom of speech and expression through the internet is an integral part of Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A of the Constitution of Avocado. Thus, access to internet and the freedom to use it is part of fundamental rights, and the state cannot deprive its citizens of the same. It is humbly submitted that Republic of Avocado is attempting to justify the restrictions due to the circumstances prevailing in the state of Beverly Hills. Such a justification merits rejection, as it would amount to granting too much power to the state to impose broad restrictions on fundamental rights in varied situations. It would amount to individual liberty being subsumed by social control. The Council would like to emphasize on the seriousness of the present matter. Such restrictions on the fundamental rights are the reason for the placement of Article 32 in the Constitution, as it is a fundamental right which allows for the enforcement of other fundamental rights. It is submitted that impugned restrictions have affected the freedom of movement, freedom of speech and expression, and right to free trade and avocation. In the case of Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that the right to freedom of speech and expression are under Article 19, and the right to carry on trade and business under Article 19(1)(g) using the medium of internet is constitutionally protected. Thus, it is humbly submitted that the freedom of speech and expression and freedom over internet is a part of fundamental rights. The Council will now put forward the arguments for the second issue, that is whether the law and order situation justified the communication blackout. It is humbly submitted that with respect to the order restricting movement passed under Section 144 of Criminal Code of ROA and the order resulting in communication blackout, these are such orders that deal with law and order situation, but the orders do not indicate any existing law and order issue. The orders were based on an apprehension of the likelihood that there would be danger to the law and order situation, and the situation at the time when the orders were passed did not warrant the passing of them, resulting in communication blackout. The unprecedented...
I would like to interrupt for a while. We both have gone, me and my brother just have gone through your memorial. We are aware of whatever you have written in your memorial. You can argue on the facts, you can argue on why you think that these steps taken by the government are not justified. So you are requested not to read from your memorial, but argue on what you have written in your memorial.
So, on the issue that these restrictions were not justified, I would like to first I would like to first talk about Article 19 of the Constitution of Avocado. Article 19 of the Constitution of Avocado grants freedom to all its citizens, that everyone, that all the citizens has right to freedom and freedom of speech and expression. Secondly, Article 19 Clause 2 states that if government imposes any restrictions over fundamental rights, as fundamental rights are not absolute, these restrictions are supposed to be reasonable. I would like to argue that these restrictions imposed by the government of Avocado were not reasonable, as we need to look at the facts of the case. All the movements were restricted. Even the media was not allowed to publish the newspapers or provide information to the public. Also, we need to keep in our mind that after the presidential order, the parliamentary debates or the address of the Prime Minister, that was very crucial to the future of Jammu and future of Beverly Hills, was not available to the citizens of Beverly Hills. Also, students could not attend schools and people could not carry out study. If these restrictions were for a limited period of time, let's say for 2 to 4 weeks, that would have been maybe reasonable. But these restrictions were there for a long.
Miss Counsel, I would like to interrupt here. Yeah, Miss Counsel, I would like to interrupt here. See, when the situation is unprecedented, the government is having powers to invoke Section 144 and to place restrictions.
Agreed, sir. They have power to impose restriction, but while imposing restriction, they should keep in mind that they are imposing restriction on its own. And I'm sorry. And while imposing restriction on its own citizens, the government should keep in mind that the security of state is important, but the individual liberty of people is also important. So they need to balance between the security of the state. So while imposing the restriction, they should find a method through which they could protect the individual liberties of people as well.
What is wrong with the order which has been passed restraining the movement? So factually, what is wrong in that order?
The people could not access internet. Also, the people could not go move. There were restriction on movement, not just on the restriction of movement of people, but the journalists as well. So there were just the whole scenario is that there was not just a restriction on movement, but also there was a blockade of communication. There was a blockade of information, and no information could reach the people of Beverly Hills, while the same information was available to the rest of Republic of Avocado, which is again not constitutional and and should not have happened.
Okay.
We were talking about reasonableness. Sorry. So in the case of K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India.
Talking.
Sorry.
First of all, we are not talking. We are take care of this thing.
The council would like to apologize. The Supreme Court in the case of K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India talked about the term reasonableness given under Article 19, Clause 2 of the Constitution. Also, we need to keep in mind that reasonableness, while imposing restrictions or imposing restrictions on its own citizens, the reasonableness should be of that degree that the security of the state and the rights of the individuals do not, there is no conflict between them. Give me a moment. Also, the Supreme Court in one of its earliest judgment in the case of Chintaman Rao versus the state of Madhya Pradesh also emphasized that the term reasonable restrictions connotes that the limitation imposed on a person should never be excessive in nature. While we have seen that in the state of Beverly Hills, these restrictions were excessive and not at all reasonable. Also, the petitions which were filed before the Supreme Court, they were not. State of Iowa did not inform the residents of Beverly Hills about its decision that it is going to abrogate the Article 370. Also, it did not ask for the view of the citizens or of the leaders of the state of Beverly Hills regarding that it is going to take this decision. Second, there were harsh restrictions, and communication was completely cut out. People could not contact their loved ones or dear ones. They could not even tell them what they were going through. And secondly, the state came to a complete standstill. There was complete restriction on everything. As I was earlier saying, that the schools were completely shut down. Education of the students were hampered, and the situation was such that the security of the state was important, but we should keep in mind that while security of the state is important, the education should not suffer, because the students are the future of any state, and if this education is getting hampered, it will create problems for the state itself. Now I would like to move forward to my third argument, which is whether Section 144 can be imposed on mere suspicion. It is humbly submitted that under Section 144, that the order can be imposed only based on some objective material and not merely on conjectures. Because this situation was unprecedented, but it was not an imposition of emergency, as there were no internal threat and no external threat for the Republic of Avocado, which allowed them to impose restrictions similar to the emergency. While submitting that, it could be
you are making a submission. Do you have access to all those communications which government did internally or externally? Have you gone through that?
No, I do not. No, Your Worship, I do not have access to those communications. It is humbly submitted that there were no disturbing facts on 13th April 2020, which warranted the impositions of restrictions that were placed on the state of Beverly Hills under Section 144 of the Criminal Code of ROA. There were no action which will likely create, which would suggest that there would be any obstruction of justice or annoyance or injury to any citizen, or there would be any disturbance to the public tranquility, and the state of ROA could not pass such blanket orders in anticipation on the basis of a mere apprehension. Also, the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Ram Manohar Lohia versus State of Bihar emphasized the difference between public order and law and order situation. The court in this case held that a mere disturbance of law and order leading to a disorder may not necessarily lead to a breach of public order. The council would like to express its concern that in future the government could use such restrictions to prohibit any political party to contest or participate in elections. Also, in this context, it is sufficient to note that power under Section 144 cannot be used as a tool to prevent legitimate expression of opinion or grievance or exercise of any democratic rights. The Constitution of ROA protects the expression of divergent views, legitimate expression, and disapproval, and this cannot be the basis for invocation of Section 144 unless there is sufficient material. Also, this case
just now you said you don't have access to that sufficient material. Now again you are making argument on the basis of that.
Apologies, sir. I was just trying to make the bench aware of the circumstances filling in the sufferings of the people of Beverly Hills.
Circumstances is fine, but you are raising an argument without any document, evidence.
Apologies. I would not repeat it again.
My brother just must. Hello. Yeah, my brother just must have to say something on this as well.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Sorry, I could not hear you earlier.
Yeah, Chandan, can you hear us?
Your voice is cracking a lot.
Okay.
It's fine now. It's fine.
Hello.
It's fine.
Yeah. So I just interrupted to say that whatever document she's making, it's not on the basis of any evidence, because she just said that she don't have access to any communication. So if you have to say something on this.
You said that the imposition of Section 144 is wrong. How can you say that? I mean, the magistrate, who is very well aware of the situation on the ground, only he can take the decisions. Do you have any substantial evidence to prove otherwise? Are there any reports otherwise which suggest that there was nothing, there was no panic on the ground, or there was no apprehension that something which can harm the public, etc., would take place if Section 144 were not imposed? You are already aware that this is a place where counter-terrorism activities and cross-border terrorism activities are at a much higher pace. So whether the imposition of 144 was taken keeping in mind the entire population or not, do you have any access to the documents? Or how can you say that this was just taken abruptly without taking into consideration the entire scenario of the valley?
Lordship is taking into account the previous circumstances, the terrorism, the continuing terrorism and the counter-terrorism measures by the government, and all the public safety and security questions. What we need to also consider is that the security of the state is of utmost importance. There is no argument about that, but the liberty of the individuals is also important. Also, there should be a balance between them. There should be no complete.
That is why we are saying there has to be a balance. We are agreeing with you that there has to be a balance, but you just need to show us something, some evidence, some communication, something.
What we are trying to say is the imposition of Section 144, was it justified or not, is the basic argument of yours, and you are disputing it. You're saying it is not justified. Show us something which says that this was not justified. Because the state has very well justified it by saying that if we would have not imposed Section 144 over there, the entire state would have gone into chaos.
Yes.
The magistrate over
Absolutely.
there, the person who is there, who is passing the order under Section 144, he is well aware of the situation on the ground. Do you have any document to prove otherwise?
I do not have access to the document right now, but I can get back to that later. But I would like to add one point to this, that the magistrate must be aware of the circumstances on the ground. But the question here is that whatever the situation may be, the individual liberty should always be kept in mind. And if there should be any restrictions, like the government must have intel about those areas which were in the most danger. So the government could bifurcate the areas depending on the grave danger presented before it. Also, the government should have kept in mind that the restrictions should not, the government should have kept in mind that while imposing these restrictions, the media should have been given the right to give information to the public, because without any information, there was a complete state of chaos. They did not know what was happening in the other states, or for that matter, in the whole the other part of the country, and they did not know what is going to happen in the future. They did not have any idea that what actually is happen about their future. They just did know that it's Article 370 is abrogated, and apart from that, they did not have any access to any prime ministerial address or parliamentary address for that matter. So maybe the magistrate did know what was going on the ground, but cutting off the information in this manner by a blanket order is not justified.
Counsel, you only have 2 more minutes.
So I would like to move forward with my prayer, if the bench agrees to that. Hello.
Yes, please.
Much obliged. Therefore, in the light of the facts of this case, the issues raised, arguments advanced, and authorities cited, the counsel for the petitioner most humbly pray that this Honorable Supreme Court of Republic of Avocado may be pleased to pass any appropriate writ or order under Article 32 of the Constitution for setting aside or quashing any or all orders, notifications, directions, or circulars issued by the respondents under which any or all modes of communication, including internet, mobile, and fixed line services, have been shut down or suspended in any way made inaccessible or unavailable in any locality, or also issue an appropriate writ or direction directing respondents to immediately restore all modes of communication, including mobile, internet, and landline services, to provide an enabling environment to the media to practice its profession. This Honorable Court may also pass any order as it deems fit in the interest of equity, justice, and good conscience. And for this act of kindness, the petitioner shall, as ever, be duty bound and liable. The counsel for the petitioner rests his case.
Okay. The respondent may begin.
Yeah.
Shall I start?
No. Yeah.
Shall I start?
We can proceed with the respondent. Yeah.
If it pleases the court, my name is Yash Tiwari, and I am appearing on behalf of the respondent, Republic of Avocado. If it pleases the court, the counsel would like to address the benches, your lordships.
Yes, please.
Your lordships, the case before the court today is the freedom of speech and expression, which is juxtaposed with reasonable restriction. Your lordships, in the following issues, we will show that state is correct in its authority because it has utmost priority was interest of security of the state, public order, and lives, limbs, and property of the people living there. I shall start with my first case, Your Lordship. Counsel on behalf of the respondent humbly suggests that before looking at the freedom of speech and expression, we should look also at the reasonable restrictions, because freedom of expression has never been an absolute right. For this, the counsel will cite the statement of Dr. Ambedkar while the framing of the Constitution, in which he stated that Gitlow versus New York, in it is stated that freedom of speech and expression is not at all absolute, and the responsibility to partake it is on the shoulders of the state. From here, we can understand the legislative intent to where it was going, and we should understand on the prior, before moving forward, that it was never the intent of the drafters of the Constitution of Republic of Avocado that there should be the freedom of speech and expression should be absolute. Further, the counsel would like to state in the state of Madras versus VG Roe, it was stated that liberty and security and the reasonableness about it should be looked into in 3 stages. First, what is the nature of the right? Second, urgency of evil sought to be remedied, and third, prevailing conditions at that time. The last 2 issues should be emphasized supplied. In NB Khare versus State of Punjab, 1960, it was stated by the court, duration and extent, not only duration and extent should be taken into the consideration, but the circumstances and manner in which restrictions were imposed, it should be also looked upon, and it should be looked upon by the objective standard, not the subjective looking. And as my opposite learned counsel stated that it was an infringement of their fundamental right, we should state, counsel humbly suggests and cites the case of Bennett Coleman versus Union of India, where it has given a test of infringement of fundamental rights, and held by the court that before seeing that any law is infringing or impinging upon the fundamental rights, it should examine its effect and not its object or subject matter. Council would like to further state that on the matter of freedom of internet and access to internet, Council Dr. Humbly says that technology is never static and it is ever evolving and ever changing. So the restriction approach should not be narrow, pedantic, and should not be curtailed. Thus, in Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, paragraph 13, it was stated that when such advocacy is a mere suggestion or is a mere critical of the government, it is of no reasonable action should be levied upon. But when such advocacy reaches level of incitement, and it then and there, Article 19, subclause 2 will kick in. Paragraph 30 draws the immediate relationship between the speech and action, and only tendency for the incitement requirement should be looked upon. In this judgment in 2015, there was a buttressing by Judge Nariman that the clear and present danger test should not be levied upon you, and it should be merely levied upon as an apprehension. Council would like to further cite the case of K.A. Abbas versus Union of India, where it was stated that social interest overrides individual freedom. Further, Council would like to submit that freedom of internet access to internet should not be given levity, because it may be used for the wild purposes, for the instigation of violence, for the propagation of ideas that will have a detriment effect on the people living there. We should further, as I have stated earlier, in the case of State of Madras and VG, the urgency of evil sought to be remedied, and the prevailing conditions at the time had to be looked upon. The prevailing conditions at the time were very aghast.
Mr. Counsel, I would like to interrupt you here for a moment. The same question as I've asked from the counsel, from the petitioner, that what was the reason for imposing these restrictions?
So, it is humbly suggested before the court that no right should be curtailed, but it is the duty of the state that needs to be looked upon. And it is further stated that every right stems from the duty, and there is no bigger duty to guard the interest of the national security, which was further stated in the case of Talib Hussain versus State of Jammu and Kashmir, that nothing is of more importance than paramountcy of national security, and the state is foremost looking at the public security and their lives, limbs, and property, because this state has been subject to much propagation of ideas, and they have subjected to violence. So to guard the future violence, to guard the future bloodshed and mere killings, this imposition was subjected to.
We just wish to know whether there was subjective satisfaction while passing the orders under 144 or not.
Pardon, your lordship.
We wish to know whether there was a subjective satisfaction while passing the orders by the magistrate under section 144 CRP.
Council further submits that. The magistrate under section 144 can put in the orders for preventing disorder, obstruction, annowance to secure the public weal and maintain public peace and tranquility. And it is a complete discretionary measure and should not be furloughed upon, and it can be taken as a mostly administrative measure, and it should not be purview of judicial purview until it is ultra vires or its duration has been expounded, because the magistrates were living in the ground. They were more apprised of the conditions that were prevailing in the state. So, and I want to say, it will be utter foolishness of magistrate and the administration and the government if they haven't taken such necessary steps, because 144 sorry, sir, I want to again cite the case. In section 144, the test of reasonableness should be seen upon direct and proximate link. Direct and proximate link was established, and if this step was not taken upon, it would have taken a dominoes effect, and it has triggered the endangerment of the community's interest. Thank you, Raj.
Okay.
Council would like, so Lordship, shall I move forward with the subsequent issue?
If my brother judge is having a question, let me just confirm with him.
Your Lordship, yes, sure, Lordship.
Mr. Counsel, you tell me that when you are imposing Section 144, Section 144, when you impose it, it basically curtails all your fundamental rights, correct? So what was the basis, which my brother judge asked you, that the basis on which you impose Section 144? If it was to curtail the hate speed, if it was to curtail the entire, the situation in the valley, what all other steps did you take? Why only implement Section 144 to control these kind of steps right now? Why not do it beforehand? Why not make something which prevents these things from happening?
Your Lordship, I beg to pardon because I was unable to hear your voice. Can you speak, Your Lordship? It is much of like if you can speak a little louder.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. I'm much of like much apologies on our I don't have an headphone.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
What our question is, when you impose Section 144, it basically what it does is it takes away all the fundamental rights. What we wanted to know that what was the basis of imposing Section 144 in the valley during this time? If you say that it was to curtail the hate speech and etc., so that the unrest in the valley can be contained, why not take any other measures? Was it really a necessity of imposing Section 144? Were there not any other measures available at that time? What was the reasonable nexus that you wanted to build while passing the order under Section 144?
Absolutely.
Council, on the behalf of the respondent, would like to suggest that in the case of Ghulam Abbas was a state of Uttar Pradesh. On the question, Your Lord, that you asked, Your Lordship asked, why least intrusive measure was not taken. Under the Ghulam Abbas versus state of Uttar Pradesh, it was stated that when other provisions and other measures are bound to fail, then only a total prohibition or suspension of rights must be resorted upon. And I will state this in the further case. It was cause of the urgent situation to prevent a bigger harm, great consequences, need to be mere apprehension of test and a mere apprehension of danger, and the apprehension should not be remote, conjectural, or far-fetched as stated in the Rangarajan case. Expression should be inseparably locked with the action contemplated as a spark in the powder keg. Council would like to further state that in the case of Ram Leela Maidan and Babulal Parathe, it was stated that there is no straitjacket formula that can be applied, as stated also in the Anuradha Bhasin case in the paragraph 25 and in the paragraph 25.
Okay.
And the prevailing conditions needs to be looked upon, and because the magistrate knew the ground condition of the state of Beverly Hills, they were more apprised upon that what measures need to be taken for for the imposition of the interest of public safety and public security. That's all, Your Lordship.
Mr. Consul, you only have 5 minutes left.
So I want to further also state that Section 144, as my earlier counsel said, it should not be. It is out of the scope. It is out of the scope of the court to argue upon Section 144. As in the status of Karnataka versus Praveen Bhai Togadia, it was in the paragraph 6. It was stated that this is a primary domain of administration, and it is largely and best to assess the situation. And unless the situation is ultra virus, which it is not of excessive nature here. The state has taken the foremost duty for the interest of national security, which is the most sought upon thing in the country. Thus,
see, Counsel, this situation is extreme only because, see, it's a case of violation of fundamental rights, which will always be on a higher pedal than any other thing in this world.
Your Lordship, I affirm upon your opinion, and it is stated that though fundamental rights is on the pedestal, but is always put in a position juxtaposed and read with the reasonable restrictions. Because it was opined also in the case of A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras, and Patanjali Shastri said that freedom of speech of expression should be controlled, regulated, and reconciled, so it does not overlap with the interests of the state. If your Lordship allows me, I will move forward to the subsequent case and conclude the arguments.
Yes, please.
Your Lordship, I want to further upon the second issue, which is reasonability of Section 5 Clause 2 of Telegraph Act. So, as my learned counsel said, procedure was not duly followed. I would like to state that the Section 5 Clause 2 was under Section 7, and by notification or gazette, central government can put up rules and accordance under which it can have a temporary position of the telegraph, whichever form, and it should be by Section 5 Clause 2 should be read with temporary suspension rules 2. It contain under rules 2. Was reasonable as it contained the reasons, and it was of unavoidable circumstance which will be of necessity. Under Section 4, under Rule 4, nodal officers were also employed, and all the duly conditions were followed. And as my opposite learned counsel stated that freedom of press was not allowed. It should be duly stated that freedom of press was never ever curtailed upon. It was just that they were not able to. So doctrine of chilling effect would also not come into place here. Counsel would like to just conclude the arguments and what was stated in the People Unions for Civil Liberties versus Union of India. Under this case, it was cited that occurrence of public emergency is much needed, and it should be in interest of public safety. Both this words should have a more interpretation of law under the rule of nocitur socis, because they take color from each other and should be read with a cognate sense. I further submit that for the application of provisions of Section 5.2, unless these two conditions are the government cannot exercise its power under the said section. But as these two conditions are fulfilled, and there is no doubt about that, so thus it is not arbitrary, it is not of excessive nature, and to restrict and for the interest of national security, it was under doctrine of necessity, it was completely constitutional. The expression public safety here means the state or condition of freedom from danger or risk for people at large. Council would like to state under the council would like to humbly submit this issue and want to move forward to the prayer. if it is.
Yes, please.
Any questions, Your Lordships?
I do have a question. Mr. Consul, you said that the press was not able to do it.
Yes, sir.
Was it not only because of your imposition of restriction that the press was not able to do what they want to do?
I understand, Your Lordship. It would have been a extension of the act, but when the reasonable restrictions are applied, it is stated that extension of the rights and the reasonable restrictions should be seen upon. In Prabhu Dutt versus Union of India, it was stated that reasonable restrictions were also applied to freedom of press. It was stated that freedom of press, and this effect was a large and long extension to freedom of press. It was never the intent and arbitrariness or the excessive nature of the imposition that made the freedom of press curtailed in the state.
But by your actions, the freedom of press was already curtailed by imposing a total lockdown, total blackout, communication blackout. What was the purpose? What was the purpose of imposition of a total communication blackout?
So, as I stated before that, because the uses of if we have made internet available, the uses of dark web has been growing ever since, and the prevailing conditions of cross-border terrorism and merciless killings have been followed. So
that is only your apprehension.
It was
it's
just
your
an
apprehension.
Yes, sir, it was just an apprehension. Yes, Your Lordship, it was just an apprehension. But the apprehension of danger should be always looked upon on the prevailing conditions in the state. Thus, the magistrate reached its conclusions by the prevailing conditions that have been and the circumstances in which were imposed. Because the most debatable Article 370 was abrogated by the modification of Article 367. So the prevailing conditions were meant to be bad, and these apprehension, Lordship, sorry, and that's why only the total prohibition or suspension of rights must be resorted.
Mr. Counsel, by
Sir,
imposing a total communication blackout,
yes.
temporarily you basically suspended the internet, you suspended the calls, you suspended everything. You say that propaganda may have been spread. To spread propaganda, you basically need social media. Why not block all the social media sites and keep all the sites which are useful for the general public open? The situation today in your state. Let me complete the question, Mr. Counsel. The situation in your state today is that nobody can make a call. Nobody can, if somebody is not well, nobody can make a call unless and until the person has a landline in their respective homes.
So
the entire telephone services is not there. You've completely backed it out. Why not only
Your Lordship
select the social media sites and block all the social media sites and keep everything open for the better part of the society?
Shall I continue?
Yes,
Your Lordship, it must be stated that it was stated aforementioned that technology is ever evolving and changing, and there has been an upsurge in the uses of dark web and a virtual private network system. And by using this, there can be no surveillance on the working of the people who are using the internet, and state could take no chance and can provide no levity no levity in when it is interest of the state and it is interest of national security, and also the foremost is lives and limbs and property of the people living there. And it was not this was a real threat. It was not a quandary. It was not an impression. This was a real threat on which the magistrate took this decision. And further, I would want to state under section 5(2) and read with the rule 4 of the temporal suspension rules, it was stated that nodal officers were employed. Nodal officers were employed. Sorry, sir. Sorry, Your Lordship. Nodal officers were employed, and thus it was looked upon that they were requisitioning all the data and all the questions from the people living there. So state has already taken all the measures that no problem would be faced upon by the people living there, and thus thus this measure was not at all unconstitutional.
What measures were taken by the state?
So the sole measure that can be the sole measure that was stated was measure that was stated was under section under for this under rule 4, nodal officers were employed in every district. In every district, nodal officers were employed for the requisitioning of the state orders and or public safety, so that they can requisite all the data, and so they can involve the complaints if there is any for the suspension of the communication blackout, to see over that the condition there, the condition in the state was not haphazard. So I would like to further state that the tumultuous condition that were in the state will need to be looked down, and thus the reasonable restrictions are perfectly valid here. And this the opinions of my learned counsel should be outrightly dismissed.
Mr. Counsel,
Yes.
don't you think that it was a total failure on your part, on the government's part, to control the border terrorism and all, due to which in today's day the population of your state is suffering? It was only due to total lack of your proper security measures that you could not control the border terrorism.
I understand your lordship the question, but in the interest of national security, we could have taken the measures, we could not have imposed 144, but why took such, which can be further detriment to our cause only? This was a complete preventive measure, 100% preventive measure for the limbs, lives, and property of the people living there, and nothing more. And because the ground conditions were known by the magistrate.
See, Mr. Counsel, yes, we already have one example of 1975, as in the name of national security, what has been done by the then government. So that's why we wish to go deep in this and wish to know that whether the restrictions imposed are reasonable or not. That is only our concern.
So, for the reasonability of this conditions, we will. I would like to look. I stated already that the test of direct and proximate link. For the test of reasonability, two conditions should be looked upon. Two main essentials. Was there a direct and proximate link? I would say that these conditions was direct, because there was. Sorry, Your Lordship. I would take a second. So the council would like to say that the fact of measures taken by government is an illocutionary speech act, and there was no temporal gap between the utterance and the effect. Thus, it establishes the direct link with the cause. On the subject of proximity, here in this matter, the prevailing conditions and the urgency of the evil sought to be remedied should be taken into consideration, because only this can establish the case, and it can only establish the situations under which the section 144 was levied upon. And so there was no straitjacket formula that that the state or that the magistrate should have forsaken upon and we had no, because on the we have to balance the rights, we have to balance the proportionality, and on the major hand, on the and the lives, limbs, and property and of the people, and on the health, public safety of the people, outweighed every other measures or every other alternative measure or least intro measures that needs to be forsaken upon. Thanks a lot.
Do you have any question, my brother judge?
No, I don't. You can complete.
Okay, so we can conclude the proceedings now.
Further, sir, further, Your Lordship, the Council would like to humbly ask for that this case and in this case should be outright dismissed, and no such further interference of the court in the measures of Section 144 shall be apprised upon until unless the case is of ultra virus and there is an arbitrary or excessive nature of the from the government of Republic of Avocado. Thank you, Honor.
Miss Counsel for the petitioner, do you have to state anything further in this? Any more submissions? Okay.
Thank you, Your Lordship.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very nice, huh?
Okay, we'll conclude.
Yeah,
Huh?
we'll conclude. Very nice, very nice.
Okay. Yeah.
ठीक है. So we'll
Okay.
conclude. I'll
Okay.
share the score sheet and the feedback. ठीक है.
Okay.
Okay.
Then.
Nice
Thank you.
talking to you. Bye bye.
Yeah, same here. Bye.